Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir. Rabbi tammim bil khair ya arhamar rahimin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Let us begin our session today by recitation of Kitab Al-Fatiha. The respected Professor Dr. Ahmad Murad Marikan, the moderator for today's event, Dr. Nurul Norman, speaker, participants of the ISTAC-IIUM Library Lecture Series. Welcome to the Al-Attas Lecture Series number 1. And I am Brother Fazli Omar, your Master of Ceremony for today's session. Al-Attas Lecture Series is another platform to promote Syed Muhammad Naquib Al-Attas Library and its collection to the students, researchers, community as a whole. And this is to make use of these gems and treasures which are available here in Syed Muhammad Naquib Al-Attas Library. We are purposely make this session and also event being held in this very beautiful architectures of Syed Muhammad Naquib Al-Attas Library in order to welcome and also to have a very good environment of the library itself, and then be shared and then also being absorbed by the participants for today's event as well as those who are online. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Murad to begin the next session for the first lecture series of the Al-Attas Library. فليتفضل مشكورا.
Thank you, Brother Fazli. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for being here for the first lecture or inaugural lecture of the Al-Attas Library lectures. We're going to have a number of lectures, a series of lectures indefinitely over a prolonged period of time to initiate or to continue the promotion of the library. The Syed Muhammad Naquib Al-Attas Library has been around since 1989 and it has been used, but we want the library to be more widely known to the community, scholars and students, so that they can come and consume the value of the library, do their thesis in the library. Not only do their thesis in the library, but the whole thesis would be sourced from the library. And these are the things that, the ultimate things that we would like the library to be. Then this is part of the other initiatives, apart from the lecture series. We'll have forums, seminars, exhibitions, curated tour, which the library is preparing, and other aspects to promote and also to brand the Al-Attas Library. The Syed Muhammad Naquib Al-Attas Library in this context will be labeled as the Al-Attas Library for people to remember, because Syed Muhammad Naquib Al-Attas Library is too long for, so people remember the Al-Attas Library. So we're using the term Al-Attas Library lectures. I will, for today, we have invited Dr. Nurul Norman. She's been very willing to speak as the first lecturer. The title is Delving into a 12th Century Persian Manuscript, Al-Biruni's Al-Tafhim. Title is a bit longer. She has been doing the study, the manuscript in this library. So I know that she's been, so we invited her. And subsequently, next few months, we're going to have other lecturers. The second one will be Dr. Baharudin, who was a deputy director of ISTAC earlier in the beginning. He will speak about the value of acquisitions, the time when library was built up at that time in early 2000 or the early 1990s. A little bit about the library. Established in 1989, it's a multilingual. I think we have to know that it's a multilingual collection. The languages in the library is English and other European languages, Dutch, German, Arabic, Urdu. Also, the languages in the Malay archipelago. Yeah, thank you. And the library, the collections focus on the subject, on the domain of Islamic thought and civilization, one of the most authoritative repositories of materials on that subject. It has 150,000 volumes of books, 64,200 general reference collections, 26,000 bound journals, 46,800 scholars collection, which is and rare books, which is down here. Oh, down, yeah. 2,665 manuscripts and in book form, as well as 17,922 volumes in microfilm. Also available are works in various Islamic languages: Arabic, Turkish, Persian, Urdu, and Malay, and other European languages, including Greek and Latin. Also, it holds works on Greek, Roman, medieval, and modern Western civilizations, as well as those from Japan, China, and Korea. In a sense, it is acquired works that would come to be called the interaction of civilizations, from Western civilization to Sinology, to East Asia, and also, of course, centered on Islamic thought and civilization. So we hope that the library can be further used. We can delve into materials. At the moment, I am looking into maps, the map collections in the library, and whatever maps that we have, so that it can be formalized and cataloged. And also an exhibition on maps and worldviews from the ISTAC library. Inshallah, if I'm prompt and quick, it'll be in July. It'll be held here in this library itself. Now to the speaker. The speaker is Dr. Nurul Norman, research fellow at ISTAC. Very impressive CV. So if you were to read the CV, it will take another 2 hours. She received a PhD in Islamic thought from University of Malaya, master's in Islamic philosophy from Mofid University, Tehran, in Iran, and a bachelor's degree in Islamic philosophy from Firdausi University, Mashhad. I think I was there at the same time as you when you were there. We didn't meet. Maybe we would have met at Sunday's restaurant for some sumptuous lamb kebab. She has many works and activities that she has produced. She received in 2014 the Academic Award of Scheme Penolong Penyelidik Siswaza University of Malaya, My Brain 15 Scholarship in 2015. During her postgraduate study at ISTAC-IIUM in 2012, she became a graduate assistant, librarian, Persian translator. You have that post here. I think we need to create a similar post, recreate for the library. And Also, apart from that, she has worked with several projects at UPM and was research fellow at the International Institute of Advanced Islamic Studies before she came here. Yeah, there's a. She's involved in the social work, voluntary work, and Persian and Arabic speaker as well. So with that, I hand it over to Dr. Nurul. Over to you. You here? Okay, okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good morning to Honorable Dean of ISTAC-IIUM, Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Virgo. Honorable Moderator for today, Professor Dr. Ahmad Murad American. Both are great scholars and gems of ISTAC-IIUM. Respected colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to thank ISTAC-IIUM and the Syed Naquib Al-Attas Library for giving me the opportunity to speak about a very important manuscript, Persian manuscript, namely Al-Tafhim li Awa'il Sana'at al-Tanjim, written by Al-Biruni, and it is the oldest piece we have in Al-Attas Library. And we have here in ISTAC-IIUM, I mean the library, a number of 1,481 pieces of Persian manuscripts. And thank you everyone for attending physically or virtually, gracing today's event with your presence. Thank you very much. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to speak about the writer of the manuscript. He is Abu Rayhan Al-Biruni and was regarded as the finest mathematician and astronomer and scientist of his age. So he wrote this manuscript in 1029, and now it's 2023, which means 1,006 years ago. So we have that downstairs. If you go to the rare collection, it's right there, and it's the oldest piece we have in the library. So Biruni wrote Al-Tafhim in Persian with the request of a girl named Rayhana binti Hussein Khwarizmi. So first I thought she was the daughter of Khwarizmi, but no, she's just, I think she was a student. His student requested him to write something about astrology. And later he rewrote the book in Arabic. So there's two versions, one in Persian and one in Arabic. The Persian one is written first because Rayhana, she was a Persian girl. So she wanted to learn more. So the medium was Persian. And then later on, someone else, or I'm not sure, maybe he himself rewrote the book in Arabic. So it was written in a very special method and approach because it was written in a question and answering way, which stimulates the mind through the process of thinking, thinking logically, or you call critical thinking, and through four fields that create astrology, which is geometry, which is hindisa, and then hisab, which is arithmetic. And he wrote about hayat wa ahkam nujum, which means judicial astrology and also astrolabe. So his elaboration starts from the general topics to the more specific topics. Okay, At-Tafhim, which onwards I will just say At-Tafhim, the manuscript, starts with a general survey of mathematics, geometry and arithmetic, and proceeds to astronomy and the calendar with a discourse on the use of astrolabe. Okay, astrolabe is like, it's hard. I should have bring the picture. It's something that when you look, it has, those days they believe that their daily life is very much connected with the heavens. So those days they look into the sky, the stars that actually inspires people's life, daily life. Okay, so it then goes on to discuss astrology in a great detail, involving a great deal of astronomical observation and measurements. So a Tafhim was designed in a teaching text. Okay, that's why it is divided into 530 questions and answers in 492 pages. The book has been regarded as the greatest scientific encyclopedia of its age, and its author is taken to be one of the greatest, most inventive, and most inquiring of scientific thinkers. And this manuscript is known by the Persians of having a very eloquent way of writing, because from the linguistic point of view, this is, because it's, they have the method of question and answering. So it's a self-study on astrology and is considered an important work in Persian language, since Biruni used the most original and oldest terms and expressions of the Persian language regarding history, traditions, and chronology of the Persians in this book. And instead of using the Arabic terms, he created specific Persian terminologies used in astrology and mathematics. So moreover, Abu Rayhan al-Biruni, he used some figures and drawings in order to explain difficult mathematical and astrological concepts in a simplified manner. He didn't just, define certain terms, certain mathematical terms, certain astrological terms, but he created figures, and tables and scripts, which were written in bright red and black color. It has been actually translated into English, Italian, German, and Russian, and now I am translated into Malay. And I've heard there are 26 copies around the world, Persian and Arabic version, which we have one now in Al-Attas library. And there have been debate over which comes first. Some people say the Arabic comes first and the Persian come first, but it seemed like the translation is rather, the Persian seems to be original. Comes first, because the expression used and the use of words, the explanation, and the quantity of the papers. So Raihana, she was also a Persian girl. Therefore, they took a conclusion that the Persian version came before the Arabic version. And the text of the Tafhim, inscribed on the International Memory of the World Register in 2011, and is the oldest surviving copy in Persian language transcribed in 1143. Okay, Biruni, he asked, I'll give an example of how he asked brief questions in a simply style way, such as, what is body? What is the line? And he answers the first question as a solid body. Jism is that which we can feel by the sense of touch. Standing by itself, it occupies only its own share of space, but entirely fills that to the extent of dimension, so that no other solid substance can occupy its place at the same time. So you see, definition in astronomy, those days were very important, and they often actually debate in definitions too. Like different scholars, like Arazi, would refute. Maybe he would refute the definition of Al-Biruni, and he says, this is not right, it should be this way and this way. So they debate, and that's how knowledge developed through those days. Okay, let's go into Islam and science and see the relation of art and science in Islam first before going into Islam and science. You know, we actually have to see the in-depth of meaning between them to actually find the real meaning of Islam and science. So the art and science in Islam are based on the idea of unity, which is the heart of the Muslim revelation. So just as all genuine Islamic art, whether it be the Alhambra or the Paris Mosque, provides the forms through which one can contemplate the divine unity, manifesting itself in multiplicity. And so do all the sciences that can properly be called reveal the unity of nature. So one might say that the aim of all the Islamic sciences, and more generally speaking, of all the medieval and ancient cosmological science, is to show the unity and interrelatedness of all that exists, so that in contemplating the unity of the cosmos, for example, man may be led to the unity of the divine principle, of which the unity of nature is the image. So it's a bit complicated. Maybe not many of you can actually understand it, but yeah, it's talking about wahid, yani one, the oneness of God, which the nature is actually the multiplicity of the oneness. Okay, so nature is a fabric of symbols which must be read according to their meaning, and the Quran is the counterpart of that text in human words. Its verses are called ayat, which is signs, just as are the phenomena of nature. So both nature and the Quran speaks forth the presence and the words of God. سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق. Okay, so we will show them our signs in the universe within themselves until it becomes clear to them. Okay, it shows that we need to actually find the meaning of God, of the unity of nature, the unity of the nature through the signs of the universe. Thus, we see that the idea of unity is not only the basic presupposition of the Islamic arts and sciences, but it dominates their expression as well. So the portrayal of any individual object would become a graven image, a dangerous idol of the mind. That the very canon of art in Islam is abstraction. So unity itself is alone deserving of representation, since it does not be represented directly. However, it can only be symbolized. You know, the nature is actually something that we can't reach to it, but it's a symbol of the oneness of God, and that only it's by hints. There is no concrete symbol to stand for unity. However, its true expression is negation. Not, negation is like we say, not this, not that. Hence, it remains abstract from the point of view of man who lives in multiplicity. So herein one can already see why mathematics was to make such a strong appeal to the Muslims. Its abstract nature furnished the bridge that Muslims were seeking between multiplicity and unity. It provided a fitting texture of symbols for the universe, symbols that were like keys to open the cosmic text. And we should distinguish at once between the type of mathematics practiced by Muslim. One was the science of algebra, which was always related to geometry and trigonometry, and the other was the science of numbers, as understood in the Pythagorean sense. So the Pythagorean number has a symbolic, as well as a quantitative aspect. It is a projection of unity, which, however, never leave its source. So each number, if you look at mathematics, each number has an inherent power of analysis. It's just not inherent power of analysis, but arising out of its quantitative nature, it has also the power of synthesis. So number one, it has the inherent power of analysis, and number two, numbers also have power of synthesis because of the inner bond that connects all other numbers to the unit. And to study numbers thus means to contemplate them as symbols and to be led thereby to the intelligible world up there. So also with other branches of mathematics, and even where the symbolic aspect is not explicitly stated, the connection with geometric forms has the effect upon the mind and freeing it from the dependence upon mere physical appearance, and that way preparing for its journey into the intelligible world and ultimately to the unity. So we can see here time, measurement, and numbers in the Muslim life is crucial in determining, the quality of a person's life. So we just don't count, the days, the numbers, but we count the meanings, we count the lessons that not only nurtures and impacts the physical body of man, but also the spiritual aspect of human beings. Okay, so we have seen that since the dawn of civilization, how people have actually looked and gazed into the sky, and they find that heaven had inspired their daily lives. And when Islam came in the 7th century, it actually invites human beings to discover more deeply about astrology. And this is what actually has been done by Al-Biruni in his Tafhim, in his book of Tafhim. Okay, I think that's all for today. And thank you very much. Maybe we can open the session for questions, inshallah.
That's about the Tafhim by Dr. Nurul. I think she has given us a precise and concise idea of what the book is all about. We invite questions, comments, and discussions. Yeah, Dr. Mehmet.
Can't hear you. I think, yeah.
One of them is the important one, is the question answer, the methods in this book. I mean, it was not a discovery of the Muslim scholars, right? Had been applied before Islam, the way that you are thinkers. But it's quite nice engagement of Islamic civilization through this method to understand. Number two, a question. You mentioned that this book is about nature, which is manifested with unity, and as we give examples from the sign of Al-Attas. So we are living now in the midst of drastic changes, very popular in the last 2-3 decades. In fact, climate change and so on, so on. But what this book tells us about this unity of nature in contemporary situation. Thank you.
Should I answer or we open the, okay, I'll answer. Okay, thank you, Dr. Mehmet, for your question. Okay, actually what Al-Biruni, he invented actually many things for astronomy, for astrology. He determined the direction of Kaaba. I mean, he accurately calculated the direction of Kaaba from many parts of the world. That's what he had done. And he also invented several navigations, instrument navigations that, that can be used on sea and on land. And he also, what he did was he calculated also the dimensions of the rear of the sun, you know, and he now is known as Pakistan. I forgot the name of the fort, Nanamara and something like that. So what actually he did was between two mountains, he calculated, he measured between the two mountains, and he, yeah, I think Dr. Gary remembered something about that. So he actually was a genius in mathematics and astrology. And those days, it really, you know, inspired. Astrology was not just a knowledge, but it inspired people in their daily lives. And this Raihana, she requested because she wanted to really, she's a small, I'm not, it's not mentioned how old was she, but she really wanted to learn about astrology. So it's somehow a self-learn kind of book, introduction to the elements of astrology. Okay, number two, astrology, as you mentioned, how it can be useful in the contemporary world. Well, you know, Islam, if we see how, you know, through astrology, Muslims, they not only create the lunar calendar for determining the months of Islamic calendar, but also determining the time of Salat and determining, you know, the direction of Kaaba, and it gives also beneficial benefits spiritually and physically in Muslim daily lives. If not, you know, it also gives correlation. It shows the correlation between, you know, the stars, the movement of the celestial bodies, and also what do you call it? The agriculture, you know, agriculture land, and then the movement of the sea, you know, and the stars and so on. So it really gives impact spiritually. If we want to look at just, you know, astronomically, it doesn't give, you know, that's how you count the stars, you know, and the movements and stuff. But astrology is something outside of just the object. You see the meanings and the effects of these celestial bodies into our daily lives. Okay, so it depends on our worldview, actually, yeah, to choose whether it only is beneficial for, you know, mathematics in our daily lives, for modern technology, or we take it in a spiritual way, which it benefits, you know, our life spiritually. Please, yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
I would actually like you to repeat one of the lines you said. I would like to hear again the comment that you made about Al-Biruni's, I think it's Al-Biruni's comment, that when you contemplate geometric forms,
Yeah.
it helps you go beyond the apparent appearance and thinness, the solidity of what appears.
Correct.
And this is a very advanced way of thinking, and connects, of course, all the way through history to quantum mechanics.
Correct.
So any more comment from your reading of this manuscript that can shed light on this?
Yeah. Okay. This is the concept of unity, where actually, you know, in Islam, where we see body and soul as very connected and related together. So, you know, in not only in human, we look at the nature itself, we look into just not the physical appearance. It's not just about the physical appearance where we see, but the beauty beyond what we see in the physical appearance. And how can I explain this? Yeah, you know, it's all connected together. We see everything in the physical world as multiplicity, but actually it unites in, you'll arrive to a phase where you see everything as just one. yeah, as just one, when it's called wait, I forgot the name, mystic way of looking into things. So everything in nature is the ayat of God, is the mirror of God, which is everything is just one. Actually, it's, you see in physical world it's multiplicity, but actually it actually mirrors the oneness of God. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So
Yeah.
when you say the environment,
Mhm.
one animal has an intimate relationship with other animals, things which affect that animal affects other animals. They depend on the air, the waters, and so on. We may break things up into departments, see interrelationships that bring everything together.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's actually partly where numbers come in, because we try to understand relationships actually through numbers.
Yes. Correct. Mhm.
And the comment in Al-Biruni, when he did the circumference, he actually refined the astrolabe to a very high degree
Correct.
to do those measurements. And this technique can be used by anyone to measure the circumference of the Earth. The original measurements relied on sighting shadows of the sun at a particular time of day
Yes.
in a particular place. Al-Biruni's method was far more accurate and could be applied by everybody.
Yes.
And in terms of astronomy, his work on the astrolabe enabled measurement of stars and the path of planets and so on. Those methods have come across into modern astronomy. The same setup of your telescope and the calibration of scales on the telescope are derived from the same sort of mathematics that Al-Biruni used. His calculation of the direction of the carbon from anywhere in the world, the method used is nowadays used by ship's captains and
Mhm.
airline pilots and so on. It's a method called great circle navigation. And that was basically, you can pick, if you know your latitude and longitude, and you know the latitude and longitude of the place you want to go to, you can use great circle navigation to calculate the direction of travel, or in Biruni's case, the direction of Mecca.
Mhm.
And one other comment on the astrolabe. Many years ago, I went to an exhibition in Sydney of Islamic art and artifacts, and they had a treatise by Al-Biruni on the astrolabe. And it was open to a page describing the construction of an astrolabe for navigation in the southern hemisphere. So you're looking at 1,000 years ago, Muslims were down in this part of the world, long before Europeans got there.
Yes. Correct.
You speak like a marina. A marina.
Horribly seasick.
I know one person. He is a Canadian master mariner. He talks about the moniker of above and below the wind. He was arguing on its meteorological aspects, and a very erudite way of explaining how the term above the wind or below the wind came about over the last 500 years. Captain P.G. Rivers, I think, is okay. So, any well, I think we have many questions and things to ask. Yeah, Brother Mehmet.
Adding to what Dr. Gary was saying, if we look into, it's amazing how Al-Biruni, in those days, the technologies were not the same as nowadays. And when they calculate back what Al-Biruni had done, his calculation is very, very much similar to what the modern technology has achieved. All right. Sorry, Dr. Mehmet, please, yeah.
There is a very interesting point over here. I mean, this Rayhana, in Turkish, Rayhana, there was a name. So this is, I think, the leaders should respond this one because feminist perspective exists over them, right? But my question is the technicality of your work and translation. How do you think that this Malay language has the equalities of the Persian, the scientific Persian language, or which method you would apply? Thank you.
Okay. Rayhane. Rayhane, you want to mention? Sorry, can you? I missed. Okay, right. Okay,
Second
so
question.
yeah,
Translation.
the method you're asking.
Apologies.
Okay, because you spoke about Rayhane and then the method. Okay, Rayhane, you call it in Persian, you say Rayhane. Okay, but in Arabic you say Rayhana. All right, so that one doesn't have connection. Yeah, it's Persian. The method, the method that I'm using is I really need to actually look into the terminologies used in the textbook. Yeah, it's not just about translating, but I really need to understand the terminologies used for the discipline in the Malay language. So I actually look into also, the Persian, they have the sharh, what do you call it? What is sharh? Yeah, the commentaries on this book. There is one Humayi, one scholar, and I don't remember the when he was doing the job, but there's a translation and of this book in Persian. And that's how I do it. And I also look into the Arabic version, because they have a different terminologies used, because in those days, Al-Biruni, he created his own terminology, which was not used in those days. They usually use Arabic, and he created his own Persian terminology. So I really need to look into Arabic and also into Persian and suitable words that can be used in the Malay world. Yes. Right, yeah.
Astrology alongside astronomy. Does he actually go into astrological? Does he actually go from astronomy to astrology?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he did actually. Those days, astrology and astronomy is connected. Astrology is just talking about, the spiritual, the connection between the stars and the human life. But astronomy is more into mathematics, the object itself. And he does speak about both. Nowadays, they separate between those two, but he spoke about that's ahkam, judicial astronomy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just now you mentioned a little bit about multiplicity as representative of unity. Can you tell us a little bit more about what he said about that?
He actually
Like, how do you mean? I mean, I remember reading Ismail Al-Faruqi on Islam and art,
Correct.
and how one of the things about Islamic art is the repetition. Is that the repetition is supposed to represent the beauty of the symmetry and the source of it all. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Was there anything that Al-Biruni indulged in with regards to that? Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. I think the battery is finished, right? Okay.
We need Al-Biruni for this.
Yeah, I think it's just it's just not Al-Biruni. Okay, he didn't mention it in his book. Okay, but how he actually, the answering in question method that he used in teaching astrology to the students is somehow giving this idea of multiplicity, multiplicity in unity. So the way actually he brings the students into thinking about the nature and brings, the understanding of multiplicity and unity. It's a bit hard to understand actually, but it's a journey. It's a journey where you look into nature at first, and then there's the understanding, and at last you will arrive to the space of understanding nature in that theory of unity and multiplicity.
On Dr. Mehmet's question on translation. When you look at the Arabic version and the Persian version, were they able to translate the terms directly, that means word for word, or did they use explanatory translation? And do you think you'll be able to translate word for word, or will you be using explanatory translation in the Malay version?
Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, I will need some words need to be explained in the footnotes because Malay language is like different. They have different meanings. Because Persian, even in the Arabic language, when we differentiate between Arabic and Persian, the Arabic has a longer explanation than the Persian. They have very words that are direct. But even the English translation, it's even longer than the Persian and the Arabic translation. And when it comes to Malay, I need to explain some things that it needs more explanation in the footnotes and the endnotes and stuff.
In his notes, do you find any reference to other geographies? In other words, perhaps as was mentioned in the Southern Hemisphere, referring to this part of the world?
What do you mean?
Meaning, well, I'm thinking of Al-Biruni's Indica. I mean, the only work of Al-Biruni I've read was Al-Biruni's Indica. That's in English.
Yeah, correct.
That was in a political science course in the US. We have to read Al-Biruni's Indica. But I mean, he's also a geographer.
Yeah,
some say he's a realist anthropologist.
yes.
In this work, Tafhim, any reference to other parts of the world?
Oh, okay.
Which part of the world was he referring to in terms of with regard to astronomy and astrology? Was there reference to say other Muslim lands,
I see.
South Asia or Blue Archipelago or so?
No, he didn't. It was different. Indica was he is a very marvelous writing of him also. I think you all should read in regards to that about India, isn't it? Indica.
India.
Yeah, it's a very
East of the River Sindh.
yeah. You all
Indus,
should read. But this is more a simple way of teaching, the children actually about astronomy. So it's about the elements and the principles of astrology. So and it's geographically, he spoke about some things about geography, hayate geography, but he didn't speak about history or other parts of the world. Yeah.
And he was writing in the context of which part of Iran was
it was because he was there's part of Pakistan. He lived in Khwarizm, which which is in Afghanistan. Some part of Afghanistan and Pakistan, a bit of southern Afghanistan and Pakistan, somewhere like that.
It's bordering Mashhad.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
I'm trying to find questions from the online audience. There don't seem to be any questions. How the mentioning of astronomy and astrology again? I'm quite curious. How would you see the meaning of astrology from contemporary terms, and how can we respond to it from as modern men or as people of the century?
Yeah. Okay. you know, in astrology, they have like charts and tables in regards to the stars. So as I said, astrology is more looking into the spiritual dimension of man, you know, how it actually inspires man in their daily lives. But astronomy is more into the object itself, the cosmological object. But astrology is cosmological bodies. You see the, you know, talking about the intellect, the stars, the nature, the spiritual aspect, and this is about more into mathematics, you know, arithmetic, and those kind of things. Yeah.
Has his work, was his work influential in other parts of the world? Perhaps in India, because India has developed the system of
Correct.
astronomy.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, he did mention about India. You know, he spoke about other countries. Like in India, they were very much into astrology. Even until now, they have a special field studying astrology, and they very much look into this field until they have, you know, many books and experts studying this specific field. Yeah, what was your question?
Yeah, the influence of his work in other civilizations. Or was he influenced by the Hindus?
Yeah. Yeah, he was influenced by the Hindus, but he was looking into a broader way. You know, he wasn't looking into just Islam, but he was listing actually. You know, when looking at the calendars, he actually listed religious festivals. He had an extensive list of religious festivals where he actually found out that this is human nature, where you know, it's related, religion is related to the nature, the stars, and these things. So but he didn't like actually 100% accept Hindus. Little bit he actually innovated something that is more similar to the Islamic aspect and the Quranic aspect.
Yeah, because it was the milieu that he was living in 12th century in the part where we call Northwest India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. So that part during that time. So that milieu at that time could have influenced his outlook. At that time, the Mughals were not in India yet. I mean, it was 1 century after.
Correct.
So Islam was a bit different. And I think that at that time also there were Hindus and Buddhists. There was Buddhist cosmology in that geographical area.
Correct.
So I was thinking of that milieu that would have influenced him with regard to the idea of astronomy and the idea of astrology.
Yeah. Prof. Dato, actually, you know, when we talk about civilization, we usually think that civilization, when we talk about Islamic civilization, we think it's just like, you know, Arab, Middle Eastern. But actually, Islamic civilization is built upon many civilizations. When we talk about Islamic civilization, it also embraces Persian, it also embraces, I don't know, Egyptian civilization, Indian civilization, Chinese civilization. So we are much influenced by many civilization in actually building our own civilization. And Al-Biruni himself, he actually was much influenced by Euclid in, you know, in his translation, where when he translated the books from the western part of the country, you know, before the ink finished, he actually invented many things. He developed many things throughout the journey of translating documents. And he was actually, he knows many languages. So he was just not inventing, but he was also translating documents, all these invention and documents in many languages.
Yeah. Also, I was thinking that Ibn Khaldun, after him, also wrote about astronomy and astrology.
Correct, correct.
Perhaps Ibn Khaldun may have learned from something from Al-Biruni, I don't know.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Of
All right,
course, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So there's this interaction of civilization.
Yeah.
And also, interestingly, in that geographical area, we have Rumi in Balkh. And so it is within that small area. And the broader landscape was the Mongols coming from the east and forming governments and societies across the Muslim world. So it was that milieu that I think Al-Biruni, and can you say that he's a polymath?
Yes, he is. Yeah,
Also
he is.
polyglot.
Yeah, both. He's he's both polyglot and
Yeah.
polymath. Yeah, he's
How,
everything.
how many
He's
languages can you speak?
I'm not sure. I have to look on that. Not sure. Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
it's downstairs. Yeah, rare collection. Sure, sure. I think the librarians will.
You're going to take them? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brother Zaki, inshallah. Yeah, possible.
Yeah, just a glimpse of the, this unplanned. Because I was thinking that there'll be slides, but we have this disadvantage of not having a screen
Mhm.
to show. So I think this is the first, Dr. Mohammed, yeah.
Sorry. Do we know that the Biruni the experimental studies, just reading the books that from other civilizations or contemporary Islamic scholars, or he did something experimentally and put into his work?
Thank you, Dr. Mehmet. Your brain is working actively. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. He did not just look into the theories of other scholars, previous scholars where he translated, but he also did experiments. Just like I said, he actually invented navigation tools, instruments for the sea and for the land, and of course. These things need to be experimental. It's not just about theories, but also practicality. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Actually, Doctor, I have visited the Agra Astrologist Center. It's a now museum. So they mentioned, and it's also UNESCO recognized. I mentioned that the first in the world history, the astrology started in India. So does Biruni's work recognized by any world organization, or do they have any museums there Al-Biruni?
Well, Al-Biruni is a Persian scholar. I'm not sure about that. I have to look in Iran, but they put this manuscript. They have this manuscript, and it's one of their precious manuscript. And ISTAC-IIUM, I am not sure. I haven't heard about that. But yeah, astronomy and astrology was first introduced in the Indian world, and Al-Biruni mentioned about that. He looked into many parts of the world, looking into many dimensions and all of that. And then he came with his own ideas. Even in his book, in the manuscript, when he asked questions, he's making like the students to think. He said, this is some of them like open questions. He leave it for people to think actually. And some of them he gives his own ideas and different dimensions of ideas from other parts of the world, especially the Bahmaniyar's ideas of astronomy.
Yeah, I have wait, let me see, there's a question from the online. Oh, you're giving. Oh, okay. All right. Two questions, huh? All right, there are two questions here. Thank you for the two people who have asked. I read the question. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Due to the strong linkages of Persian and Indian subcontinent during Mughal, many such scholars, example Maulana Rumi, I would like to see the influence of Biruni in the subcontinent. That's one question.
Mhm.
Do you understand the second question?
Let
Okay.
me just
Yeah.
look.
Yes.
I
Okay.
didn't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Due to the strong linkage of Persian and Indian subcontinent during Mughal,
That's what I was written.
many such scholars, Maulana, I would like to see the influence of Biruni in the subcontinent of India.
India. Yeah. That's what subcontinent is India.
Well, he lived in that continent,
Yeah.
so he was very much influenced by the Indian scholars. As I said, civilization is not just built upon one race or upon one religion. It is a teamwork or affected by many civilizations. Egyptians, Indians, I don't know, Chinese, all of them are together to build, to arrive at one golden age of Islamic civilization. So in those days, when they had war, they even carried books on their shoulders because they found that knowledge was so precious that it created a civilization for the people.
Before we go to the second question, perhaps Persian was the language of India
Yes,
until
correct.
1850.
Yes, correct.
So it was the whole Persian belt, linguistic belt from Baghdad to Bengal.
Correct.
So again, when you talk about the influence or the interaction between Al-Biruni and India, it is there. He's part of that landscape.
Yes.
He's part of the Persian-speaking community and Persian-speaking culture from Baghdad to Bengal. I mean, to what is called now the Hindi speaking belt in India. So that's what we should see. Second question. This is a good question. What is Al-Biruni's contribution in understanding monsoon winds? Monsoon winds. I was referring to the Atas angin and bawah angin,
Okay.
which was mentioned in Portuguese texts and mentioned in Persian texts also. One of which is the Ship of Sulaiman, 1700. You know that, and also much earlier. Perhaps this could be related.
Actually, I am so sorry because I'm still into looking into the whole manuscript. It's still in progress, so I have to look deeper into this question. I can't answer because
Yeah. I think this question is quite relevant to his work. This involves meteorology, involves climatology.
Correct.
So monsoon winds are another factor in the interaction between the West, the Arab-Persian world, and the Malay Archipelago. I'm looking at the Malay Archipelago in terms of this moniker of below and above the wind. And monsoon winds are not just winds; they are indicators or symbols of culture.
Correct.
They are symbols of moving from one point to another. And the route and the navigation that took place along the Indian Ocean, northwest and southeast monsoon, which met still are in the Malay Archipelago. So perhaps this is related.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because he actually invented navigation instrument and tools on sea and on land. So there must be a relation to the monsoon wind.
And with regard to the above and below the wind, many of the sources, even the Portuguese sources, refer to Persian sources early on. Perhaps could be him. I'm not sure. You can confirm that.
Yeah.
Another one which I want you have mentioned about the use of paper.
Correct.
I mean, you wrote that on paper.
Yes.
What kind of paper? Do you have any idea? I mean, you can see perhaps the original manuscript.
Yeah.
And is there any watermark or where the paper comes from?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, those days manuscript was written on the paper on what do you call parche?
Parchment.
On cloth, yeah,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
parch-
At that time,
parchments.
paper was already invented.
Yeah.
Paper was already used in the
Mhm,
Islamic lands after 752 AD, Battle of
Correct.
Talas. So just wondering the kind of paper that was used.
I don't know, but yeah, those days they use papers. The Muslim scholars, they use papers. So, you know, between them, it's easy to share between the scholars. And the type of paper, I'm not sure. I have to look on
But
that.
you have the,
Mhm.
I mean, the manuscript is here, so
Manuscript is here, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm,
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. Let's see if there are any more questions. No more questions. Okay. Any questions or any two? Yeah, only two questions. Yeah, right. Any more comments? Yeah, please. Yeah.
Mentioning about astrolab, want to know the Persian terms of Arabic terms of astrolab. I'm just sure you know.
In Persian, it's called astrolab. Yeah, but in
Astrolab in
Arabic,
Persian?
yeah, astrolab. They write it astrolab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they write
Astrolab.
Yeah, pa. We have the pa.
Oh,
It's like the ba, but we have three
it's Persian.
dots. Yeah,
It's Persian.
it's Persian. I don't know. Yeah,
Astro,
it's Greek. It's Greek tongue, correct?
yeah, with astro, I'm thinking of this. Astro means below or south. Right? Yeah, true. But that's Austro. The Austronesian languages. Austro means below the equator. Languages of the south. Austro. AS. That's Astro. Yeah, but this is like Austro. Austro means south. Yeah, I don't know. Or this Astro.
Yeah.
Okay, it's different. It's different. I thought there's a connection. All right. Any comments? Yeah, I thought that we had a good session, extremely brilliant session to introduce the work of Al-Biruni. I'm sure there are many more works, and this is one that will be very useful for scholars, people like me also looking at Al-Biruni from different perspectives, using other languages. So we'd like to end the first session. I would like to thank very much the audience here and those online for such enlightened discussion on the Al-Biruni, and to introduce Al-Biruni in Malaysia or in Malaya Archipelago, and to introduce the manuscript in this library. So until we meet again in our second lecture, inshallah in June. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
I want to add a little bit. I would like to invite everybody. You know, we have many manuscripts, and we have many personal collections that has been bought by the founder, Syed Muhammad Naquib Al-Attas, Prof. It's untouched. You know, not untouched, digitalized. I mean, untouched by research. So I would like to invite everybody here, students, researchers, inside Malaysia, outside of Malaysia, to come and do research on this valuable manuscripts. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Nurul, for studying. Thank you.
Yeah.
You want to take them? Yeah.
No, yeah.